Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new webinar with Shirofune. Today, we're going to talk about something extremely interesting, which is leveraging e-commerce platform lifetime value data to increase performance. And this presentation is going to be brought to you by myself, Rocco Baldassare, the head of sales at Shirofune US, and our founder and CEO, Mitsunaga Kikuchi. Hi, Mitsu, how are you?
Yeah, very good. It's actually 5 a.m. in Japan.
Well, you are relentless, so that's great. And Mitsu, I will let you start because I would like to know a little
Yep.
bit more about Shirofune's story.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And everyone, thank you for joining this webinar. I'm Mitsu Kikuchi, founder and CEO. Let me talk about a bit about myself and how I started Shirofune first. And I began my career at the largest digital advertising agency in Japan. And their young ad managers worked tirelessly until midnight to optimize ad campaigns for their clients. They really cared about the performance since their salaries were determined by how much they were able to improve the performance. So we, to maximize the performance, we tried all the latest automation tools from US and Europe, but still our ad managers outperformed them all because they didn't have enough quality compared to our dedicated ad managers. So we thought our human experts always do things that AI cannot do. So I realized that if I could create a system that replicates what these human ads managers do every day, I could make a big impact for ads managers around the world. It felt like the rebirth of samurai era when black ships from the USA brought new technologies to Japan, which transformed Japanese society and commerce. This was a major historical moment and inspiration for the business. I thought I could introduce this innovative platform to the world uh, in a way that is similar but opposite by taking Japanese technology global to make the world progress. So I named Shirofune after this black ship history. Shiro means white, Fune means ship. So black ship came to Japan, and white ship, which is Shirofune, depart from Japan. I hope you like this history and the inspiration for the business. So I started programming to replicate all the manual work done by human as managers. By the time we launched Shirofune, I had spent over 20,000 hours coding day and night. Because we had almost no revenue for almost 3 years, all I could afford was just one bowl of Yoshinoya beef bowl a day. Uh, this is the cheapest food you can buy in Japan. And of course, this is not enough. But when you are a startup, we need to get by with a little. And two other members from the same company joined me, and we started dominating the Japanese market. Look how skinny I was back then. Today, fortunately, I can afford 3 Yoshinoya bowls a day. So today we have a dominant 91% market share among all the automation tools in Japan and trusted by major advertisers like Rakuten, NTT Docomo. Rakuten is actually Japanese Amazon and NTT Docomo is Japanese AT&T. And also some major brands in the US too, such as Newegg. And we manage over $1 billion in the annual ad spend. And the 94% market share shows the uniqueness of our unmatched algorithm developed over 20,000 hours that no one else can copy. So, Rocco, please explain. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mitsu. By the way, I think you're still skinny, independently from how many bowls you eat. But thank you so much for the introduction about Shirofune. I would like now to cover what makes Shirofune unique and what things Shirofune helps with. So first of all, Shirofune helps with auto bidding and budget control. We allow advertisers to create a bidding and budgeting strategy across multiple channels. So now your Google, Bing, Facebook, TikTok campaign They can all share the same budget at any level of control you want to be able to focus on performance rather than just managing those budgets at a single campaign level. In addition to that, Shirofune brings optimization suggestions. These suggestions are going to be coming to you in a yes or no scenario, and they're going to be based on actual data that is flowing from your account. And these recommendations are based on the concept of we are trying to get your account to perform better by applying changes that are relevant to your business. The reason why we have them in a yes or no interface is due to the fact that we want to make sure you retain control over some of the critical aspects of your account. In addition to that, we have reports that are, again, omni-channel, super in-depth, and that allow you to see how your campaigns are performing at an holistic level and at a channel level. And then even below that, we can go into all the different aspects of Meta, Google, TikTok, Pinterest campaigns, etc. Last but not least, Shirofune is a data-driven platform. So as a result of that, we integrate with any data platform that you are using or attribution system that you're using to be able to use that data to optimize the campaign if you do not want to use on-platform data. This is all very important, but let's just have a look at a few examples. So here you can see one single account which created 5 budget groups. These budget groups include campaigns from different channels. The easiest way to understand how our budget groups work is to think of the simplest breakdown you can have in your campaigns, which could be branded, non-branded, and remarketing. So right now you're able to have all branded campaigns from Bing and Google, let's say, share the same budget with a dedicated ROAS or conversion goal. And then the non-branded could have campaigns from Google, Bing, Facebook, TikTok, and they're all going to share a different goal. So maybe for your branded, you have a 600 ROAS goal, while for your non-branded, you have a 200 ROAS goal. You can do all of that in one platform rather than focusing on the single campaign budget. In addition to that, we can show you a couple of examples of how companies have benefited from that. This is a client that was running Bing manually, and they decided to share a budget with Google through Shirofune, giving us their goals from their attribution company. The moment we turned on auto bidding for them, we were able to find pockets of opportunities for the client, the desired ROAS on Bing, and reduce the budget on some Google campaigns that were not performing as well. And all of a sudden, what happened for the client was a massive growth of spend and performance on Bing. But this also happened for them on Amazon. We actually integrate with Amazon Ads, and we are able to allocate budget and bids on Amazon according to performance, and he experienced the same exact thing. Now, you guys all know that Amazon is a pretty manual platform. We manage all the bidding on this platform to maximize the performance for the client. With that said, we wanted to show you an example that is pretty unique about our auto bidding budget control. This is from our client Newegg, and it refers to one of the optimizations that we do. Newegg was noticing that they were getting a high ROAS during the evening hours, but their cost was pretty low during those hours. And Google was spending the budget at the beginning of the day, as you guys can see on this graph. If you look at the aftermath of Shirofune, we used seasonal adjustments to take away budgets from times of the day with lower ROAS and allocate it to times of the day that showed more promise without affecting the ROAS they were generating. The result for them was pretty impressive because we are talking about a company spending a few $1 million per week. They got 18% more clicks for the same budget at a 10% higher ROAS for the same budget. Now, 10% might not seem like a big number, but when we are talking about millions of dollars in spend, that is a huge figure for a company that was stuck without the opportunity to increase their performance. With that said, we also have optimization suggestions. They do look like the ones that you find on Google, but they're not. And we offer optimization suggestions for all channels we manage. So TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, or X, like we call it today, Google as well. and they're not going to ask you to increase budget to use broad match keywords. Our recommendation are going to ask you to pause ads that are underperforming, to add negative keywords, to pause keywords that are not performing, to pause placements on display that are not performing, to remove or add interest on social media, and to add keywords, add interest, and basically everything is going to be based on statistically relevant pieces of data that then we can use to maximize our performance. With that said, there is also something else to consider when it comes to Shirofune, which is our reports. Our reports have both quantitative and qualitative analysis to it. Our AI generated qualitative analysis is going to be based, of course, on statistically relevant data, and it is going to go in depth as to what has worked and what hasn't worked in your campaigns, so you can make strategic decisions based on that. We have monthly reporting, and we also have change analysis reporting, which are going to be comparing two time frames to tell you what got better, what got worse. Our reporting feature is available at any point in time. You can download reports just with a click of a button, and they're going to be very detailed, and also they're going to be customizable. So any request you might have to adjust the report to your needs or likes can be taken care of. With that said, I wanted to show an example of what it means to have data integration with Shirofune. In this case, we integrated GA, Google and metadata, and Shopify data. If you have a third-party attribution platform, we can integrate that as well. And we can report your performance according to these different data sources. Why is that important? So let's assume that you do not trust Google and Meta performance, and you think they're over or under tracking, but you trust Shopify data. We can use Shopify data to optimize your campaigns rather than Google and Meta or TikTok's data. But we can also use GA4 data or your own attribution company data. So now you have the opportunity to decide what attribution system to use when you want to optimize your campaigns across all of your channels, which is something that nobody really offers in the market. With that said, we also have a very unique feature that no other company in the world offers, which allows you to optimize your campaign based on lifetime value. Now, in order to clarify what that means, it is much easier to actually show you an example rather than simply describe it. So let's take things slow and look at this graph over here. In this graph, we are basically having two campaigns, one from Google and one from Facebook. Campaign A from Google spent $1,000 and generated $4,000 in revenue. The ROAS of this campaign was 400%. Now, campaign B was from Facebook with an ad spend of $1,000 and the revenue of $2,500 and the ROAS of 250%. If you were to ask your ad manager where to spend more money next month, the obvious answer, the answer I would give myself, is campaign A. Is this generating more money? The ROAS is higher. However, what we are looking at here is this month's performance. What we are not considering is what happens to the users we acquired from campaign A over the next 12 months, and what happens to the users acquired in campaign B over the course of the 12 months. What we do know, though, is that you had a business for some years, and we do have an understanding of what happens to these users based on what has happened in the past. So if we look at what would likely happen in 12 months based on the data, is that maybe campaign A users do not buy as often after they buy the first time, and the ROAS in 12 months goes from 400 to 450%. Campaign B users, although they seem to be less in numbers because the ROAS is lower, they might buy more over time, effectively doubling the revenue and bringing the ROAS from 250% to 500%. Now, if you ask the same questions that I asked myself a minute earlier, you would basically think that now you need to invest on campaign B because it has a higher ROAS, which is the correct answer. but you were not wrong before because this is the data that you had available. Now you have one more piece of data available, and of course you want to invest what brings you the most money over the next 12 months. With that in mind, what do we need to do as a company? As a company, we want to make sure that we have a bidding and budgeting system that optimizes performance over the course of the 12 months instead. Shirofune automates this whole process, provides data over what's happening to your campaign in terms of lifetime ROAS, but more importantly, gives you the opportunity to bid for long-term profitability rather than short-term profitability. And Mitsu, before I continue, I noted a few questions that came from the audience. The first thing that we got here was a question that we were asked, which is, what can I expect in the first 3 months with Shirofune? Now, in the first 3 months of Shirofune, you're gonna already experience improvement in ROAS. Shirofune is not a platform that connects to an account and then starts working from that point on. We actually connect to your account, we use the data that we want to use, and using historical data, we start making changes right away. Those changes are going to immediately have an impact on your target ROAS or your target cost per conversion if you're optimizing for conversions. So usually within the first month, you're already gonna see improvements in your account. Within 3 months, you're going to be experiencing a completely different performance level in your account. So it is not one of those platforms that we are going to tell you need to wait 6 months to see results. No, you're going to see results from month 1. And we are actually so sure about the product that all of our contracts are monthly contracts. We do not work with long-term engagements because if a product is good, it doesn't need to lock you in any sort of contract. And we also got another questions. I'm going to read this question before continuing with the presentation. And the question is there a minimum spend requirement to use the platform? No, there is no minimum spend requirement, nor maximum spend requirements. Of course, like anything else in digital marketing, the more data you collect, the faster you can obtain results because you have more sample data to make optimization with. But also having a small budget of $3,000-$5,000 a month, you're gonna see improvements because you have data from previous month that you can use. But per se, there is no minimum spend required. And feel free to ask any questions as we continue through the presentation. I will collect them and pop them on the screen for everybody to see. With that said, what does it mean to run ads on lifetime ROAS? First of all, you're going to switch from investing money to what it looks like it's working to investing money into what is actually working. This makes a humongous difference in performance because anytime you are looking into an investment, you need to focus on what brings me the most customers over the longest time frame. And Shirofune helps you exactly with that. In addition to that, you're going to be able to go to your company and justify your ad spend, potentially asking more money to invest because now you have clear data over what works and what doesn't. Last but not least, you're going to see an increase in revenue from your efforts, which is always important because this is what our job is based on. With that said, Shirofune integrates with almost all ad platforms. Every month we release new integrations. So for example, we are working on Criteo right now, and we integrate with all e-commerce platforms and every single data attribution platform. Those integration with data attribution platforms are of course tailor-made to the need of your business, and we can use that data to optimize your campaigns with. So we calculate your lifetime value per channel, campaign, and creative. We go very in depth to understand what works and what doesn't. We can actually do a forecast of your campaigns to say what is going to happen to your budget over the next 12 months and what's going to be your revenue. And we are going to see the real impact of advertising rather than what we feel based on what we are seeing in the main interface. And of course, we integrate with Amazon ads, but this is incredible. We are able to calculate lifetime value of your Amazon campaigns. So now we can optimize your Amazon campaigns based on what is the likelihood of a conversion generating another sale and another sale. So we can do lifetime value optimization on Amazon as well with our proprietary algorithm. And all we need to do is to plug your data into Shirofune and let the platform work its magic. Something that I really would like to share is also a study that we ran with a couple of thousand of our customers. And this study is something that I value a lot because it is basically telling us what is the impact of campaigns on our revenue stream, but more importantly, what are the campaign types that are over tracking conversions the most. So before getting there, I would like to ask everybody in the chat to guess which campaign type is over tracking the most conversions, or better, what campaigns are attributing more conversions to themselves from customers that are already in our database. So we can choose between Google brand search, Google non-brand, PMAX, Meta standard campaigns, and Advantage Plus campaigns on Meta. Gonna give you guys a few seconds to answer. Me personally, last time we presented this at the conference, I voted for brand search, and it was the first time I saw the slides. Now I know the results, but back then I did not. So we're gonna find out what it is. So it looks like most of you are debating between meta standards and brand search. So let's look at the results together. So Meta Advantage Plus campaigns is attributing itself 70% more conversions than it should, meaning that those conversions that it's attributing themselves are either from other channels or they are existing customers already. Google brand search over attributing itself 62% of the conversions, meaning 62% of what we are tracking are customers we already have in the system. And PMAX is at 52%. I knew PMAX were bad, but this is really bad. It's all, more than half the conversions are being misattributed. And then we have Google non-brand under tracking 12% of the conversions. This is a little bit bad as well, because we want to actually get this 12% to put more budget there. But there is a shocking 37% under tracking for Meta standard campaigns. This means that Meta standard campaigns are the campaigns that are getting paused the most, although they are performing well in terms of generating new customers. Now, this is not a way for us to tell you that you shouldn't use Advantage Plus and Google search. It's a way for me to tell you that if you are trying to acquire newer customers to be able to get fresh users in your pipeline, your investment, according to the 1,000 customers we've analyzed, shouldn't be in Advantage Plus, brand search, and PMAX. But of course, every case is different. But linking up to Shirofune, we can make sure this doesn't happen, because we can use your own attribution company or your own e-commerce store data to make sure that if you want to focus on new customer acquisition, budget and bidding is going to be attributed accordingly. And of course, if you prefer to get returning customers as well, that is okay, but at least you will know at the end of the year why you do not have an increasingly large number of newer users compared to repeat customers. So basically, we allow you to keep control over what happens in your business. Now, let's assume that some of you might be working with a marketing agency. So they might not be wanting to use Shirofune, or they might want to. You can still use Shirofune for a few things. First of all, we can use it for transparency. We can basically allow you to see what is going on at the account level, performance level. And in addition to that, you're going to get optimization recommendation. So if you wake up one day and you see a recommendation to pause an ad that is costing you a lot of money with no conversions, you can knock the door of your agency and tell them, hey, why are you not optimizing my ads? It gives you much more control over the future of your business, basically. And of course, it empowers you to make data-informed decisions and make sure to report to others how this agency is performing for your business. Now, before we go to the next steps, I wanted to answer one more question that came in not too long ago, which is how often will I receive recommendations. I believe he's referring to the recommendation that show up like the Google like, so to say. Those are going to show up in your account once a day, but that doesn't mean that these recommendations are going to be recommendations that you need to necessarily apply. Those recommendations are always going to be relevant in terms of how much data is used to calculate them. And there is actually going to be a recommendation that allows you to see new terms that are popping up in your account, whether they're good or bad, new search terms that are trending. This allows you to intervene by adding or removing them before they become a problem, or to take advantage of an opportunity. But you will receive them once a day in your account, always when the data is relevant enough to provide you that recommendation. But what are the next steps here? So first of all, we recommend you contacting us. By contacting us, you are going to be basically able to ask us any questions you have, or simply schedule a demo. It will take 30-40 minutes stop. Once you schedule the demo, if you like what you see, you're going to receive a full 3-month free trial. That means that for 3 months, you're not going to be charged, and you're going to be able to use the full functionalities of Shirofune to see results for yourself. Once you receive your trial, we are going to make sure to do all the whole setup with you. The setup usually takes 20 to 30 minutes. For complex accounts, maybe an hour. And there's going to be a full training, weekly calls to make sure that you feel comfortable with the process. And more importantly, from that point on, you're going to see your performance improve. If the 3 months are to your liking, we can then start a month-to-month engagement with Shirofune. And so, of course, the next question that came in is how much does Shirofune cost? Well, Shirofune doesn't cost much. Shirofune is a very small percentage of your ad spend. We have clients that are paying less than 1%. Of course, it depends on how much you spend. So the higher the spend, the lower the percentage will be. But it's very small because we like to make sure that we blend in your business rather than become a problem for your business in terms of cost. That allows us to build long-term relationships with our customers. Last but not least, I would like to summarize a couple of things here. Full onboarding support, 3-month campaign support, and a 30% lifetime discount for all people that come through our webinars. Just mention you were on one of our webinars, and we will hold up to our end of the bargain. For those of you that are interested, our website is www.shirofune.us. Please feel free to contact us at any point in time. I do not see any further questions coming in so far from our audience, but if you have any last minute question, please feel free to post them in the chat. In the meantime, I would like to thank you, Mitsu, for joining us today. Mitsu, thank you so much.
Rocco, thank you too. And everyone, thank you for joining and hearing what we propose. And then I'm sure we can definitely provide the value. So please feel free. Don't hesitate to contact us. I'm gonna help you guys to improve the performance.
Thank you so much, Mitsu. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I don't see any further questions, so I'm going to end the stream and thank everybody for joining us today. Bye-bye.